What's up guys, and welcome back. In this video I'm going to be discussing the episode 6 of Hannibal season 3 titled, I think it's Dolce or Dolce, that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know down in the comments section. So after the amazing fight scene we get to see in the last episode, we start off straight after that and we see Hannibal and he's walking across the city of Florence. He actually walks over the same bridge that Jack Crawford threw his wife's ashes over. He's obviously in a lot of pain. He's covered in cuts and bruises. He's limping. He can barely walk. It's a strange thing to see Hannibal so wounded for once. He's normally so calm and collected and so sophisticated on top of his game, and we actually see him like in a lot of pain. And after this we see he makes it back to his apartment and he's covered in like cuts and bruises, and he's actually in like a bath washing all the blood off, and Bedelia's actually stitching him up, which you'd expect Bedelia to be out of there by now, because that was probably one of her only chances of escaping now that Hannibal's can barely even move and she's decided to help him. It screams Stockholm Syndrome to me. We had a cool transitional shot in this sequence as well. We see that as Bedelia is stitching up Hannibal's arm, that she cuts the stitches and it transitions into the noose of Patsy being cut and his body falling down, which I thought was pretty cool. And in the same scene we see that Jack Crawford is overseeing the scene and he's talking to the cops, and Will Graham turns up, which I'm glad he turned up literally after the last episode, because I was expecting him to be walking down a train track for like the next 2 episodes or something, which would have been really boring. But yeah, I'm glad he's made it straight there, so now we can finally get to the action. Jack's talking to Will and he still seems a little bit worried about Will's motives, because he doesn't know if Will's going to run away with Hannibal again, but he wants him to kill Hannibal basically, which I thought was the reason that he left him alive at the end of the episode, because Will killing Hannibal would be the only way he could like clear away all his sins and all the weird thoughts in his head, because then he finally get some peace. So that would be the best way for Will Graham to move on basically. We have a conversation between Bedelia and Hannibal, and Bedelia actually says this is where she leaves, this is her time for her to move on, and by the looks of things Hannibal lets her do it, and they actually have a farewell kiss. Now we head back over to the States and we see Mason Verger and his butler Cordell, and Cordell is actually feeding him like all these weird things and talking about how to cook people, like torturing them and stuff. And Cordell is an absolute creeper in this. He's a lot different from his character in the book. He's a lot more creepy and sadistic. He suggests that they hang Hannibal up and like cover him in some kind of oil and cook him from the outside so that he's all like soft on the inside. And then we have this really strange dream sequence where Verger is walking around and he's got like a big table with a big feast, and Hannibal's on the table and he's all crusty and black because obviously he's been glazed and cooked from what Cordell was saying. Then he gets woken up and it's all a dream, and I think this episode has quite a lot of weird strange dream sequences in it. We go back to what Bedelia's doing and she seems to be like shooting up some kind of drugs, and I was in 2 minds about what she was actually doing, if she was taking like heroin to just block out everything that Hannibal does. Later in the episode we find out she was actually using Hannibal's own drugs, the one that he used on Miriam Lass, I think her name was, the FBI agent, which was like kind of brainwashing her, and that's what Hannibal did to get her to shoot Chilton. So we find out that Bedelia is actually, well, we all know she's smart, but we actually find out she's like a genius, because she takes this and she's basically saying that she has no memories and stuff, so that's her way out. Well, she thinks it is anyway. One of the funniest scenes in this episode I thought was when just after Bedelia was like shooting up all these drugs and she's all hazy and she can barely see and walk, she gets a knock on the door and she answers it. Jack Crawford and Will Graham is standing there, and I think Jack or Will, one of them says hello, hello Mrs. Fell. They obviously know it's her, and she just like is standing at the door like, oh god. We find out that Mason Verger has actually paid off the police, so there's no one to be trusted around there. So Jack and Will and Bedelia are all being very cautious around the police, because they know that they've been paid off and they'll do anything just to get this money. And we see Mason Verger and his sister Margot, and Mason's lying in bed and he's trying to convince Margot to have a baby with him, his own sister. And I believe this was a scene that was actually cut from season 2. It was like a straight up copy of that scene that was a deleted scene, and it's where Mason says like that he neutered her basically because she was waving her vagina around like a gun. She weaponized the vagina or something like that. I thought that was pretty funny. I knew I'd heard that before, and I was thinking, why would he repeat like the exact same conversation that they've already had? But then I went back and saw that it was a deleted scene, so I'm kind of glad that they put it back in there for the public to see, I guess, the people who watch it on TV. It was also funny how Mason Verger suggested that he'd be a good father and how he wanted to take parenting classes. I couldn't think of anyone worse to be a father, to be honest. So at Bedelia's house, Jack's talking to Bedelia, and Will goes into like a back room, and we don't know where he goes, and he actually disappears from the scene. And then we find out where he is, and I must say this is one of the best scenes in the season so far. I really enjoyed this scene. We see that Will Graham goes to a museum, and Hannibal's sitting there. So this is the first time they've been reunited since the season 2 bloodbath, basically. And Will goes and sits next to him like nothing's happened, and the music kicks in. It's the exact same music from the finale of season 2, which was amazing. And when that started kicking in, I got chills, and I was just like, I can't wait to see what happens there. I just wanted to see their chemistry again, because they have such a good chemistry. After all they've been through, the amount of things they've done, like basically he's gutted him and killed people he likes and stuff like that, and they're just sitting there and they've got this bromance and they're just like smiling and talking to each other, and it was just like a perfect scene in my eyes. Especially as they were both talking about how like separation anxiety. They were talking about how one of them can't live without the other, but that's what they need to do. They need to settle it. So they both walk out into the streets of Florence like best friends, just walking around like next to each other. I thought it was funny as well because they were both really injured. Obviously Hannibal got beaten up by Jack and Will got thrown off a train, so they're both covered in cuts and bruises, limping around Florence like they probably look like a pair of homeless guys, to be honest. And then this is where the episode gets a bit high octane. We see that Chuya is actually on the rooftop and she's got a sniper rifle and she's aiming at in between the middle of them, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if she's going to shoot one of them or the other, or I don't know, maybe try and get a double headshot. But she aims down at Will Graham and he actually pulls out a knife and he's just about to stab Hannibal and probably kill him. And Chuya shoots him in the arm, stopping him from killing Hannibal. And then even after that, Hannibal still brings Will back to his house and stitches him up and gets the bullet out and stuff, which is just bizarre. He's just tried to stab him, like he just tried to murder him, and he's basically taken him back to his house and healed him back up. And then we had a really unexpected scene. Well, not unexpected, because we've had some hints towards it in the previous episodes, but just where this scene came out of nowhere. It was just this weird, strange kaleidoscope, weird scene basically of it was like a lesbian sex scene between Margot and Alana Bloom. Like they hinted towards it, but the way that it came in the episode, there was just no hints towards it. It was really strange and really trippy. If you've seen The Silence of the Lambs, you probably know the song Goodbye Horses by Q Lazarus. Their music video for that song Goodbye Horses on YouTube actually has a video very similar to that, minus the lesbian sex, but like the kaleidoscopes and stuff, which I thought was weird and quite a coincidence considering they're connected in the same universe. So Hannibal drugs Will, I'm not sure what with, I can't remember what he says, but he basically straps him into a chair. He's tripping balls, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. There's this weird scene, there's this weird hallucination where Will's actually seeing like Hannibal as the stag man and the entire background is white. Kind of reminded me of the scene in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows when everything is just white, you know what I'm about, the scene in like the train station. And this was another darkly humorous moment when Hannibal actually starts feeding Will soup. He's kind of like dribbling it and Will just comes out with this soup is not very good and Hannibal's like saying he's rude. I don't know why I found it so funny, but I laughed out loud when he said this soup isn't very good. If you've seen the Hannibal movie, you'll know that this is a representation of a scene from that movie, especially what happens later on in the scene. So Jack goes back to Bedelia's house and he's going up in the elevator and Chuya is actually in the elevator with him, and they both have some kind of suspicions, but Chuya just gets out of the elevator and leaves him be, from what you can see anyway. Apparently in the film, and they actually filmed a big like fight scene for this, but I'm guessing due to runtime they just couldn't have enough time to put it in there. So Jack goes into Bedelia's house, Hannibal's house, whoever's it is, and he sees Will Graham sat at the table strapped in, and it's really like dark and gloomy, this scene. It looks really cool. Jack goes over to Will and tries to see what's going on, and the first thing that Will says is, Jack, he's under the table. And then we get a glimpse under the table and Hannibal just slashes Jack's Achilles heel, dropping to the floor, and that was a cringe moment for me. I hate when you see scenes like that. The one in Kill Bill is just horrible. Then we flip back to Bedelia, who's out of her mind still, and she's being interrogated by one of the police officers who's obviously been paid off by Mason Verger. And the cop is basically saying he doesn't care about who lives, who dies, who's involved. He just wants to know where Hannibal is so he can get the money. So we can see how the police are just very biased about the law. They just want to catch Hannibal, mainly just for the money. So we get a sense that Hannibal's world is going to close in, especially with the amount of people who are after him now. We go back to Jack is now on a drip. I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe it's just to keep him conscious after slitting his Achilles. But yeah, Hannibal states how this is like the meal that they should have had in the last season before he got betrayed. I thought it was really funny how Hannibal asked Jack how he enjoyed the exhibition, the one that he basically smashed Hannibal through every single glass panel in there. And this was probably my second favourite scene of the episode. And Hannibal actually gets out like a circular saw, and this is exactly what happens in the Hannibal movie, but it's with a guy called Paul Krendler, and he begins to cut into his head with a circular saw, and there's just blood spraying everywhere, and we get the moment from last week's promo where Jack goes, "No!" It's all slow motion and artistic, and we see all the blood just flying out his head, and we see like the blood flying, it transition into some clouds. I'm not sure what the symbolism for that was, but we got all this like big, like it was like a weird POV shot of it just flying out, and then we actually saw like the reflection of the blood drop, which is a really awesome shot, to be honest. And then it cuts to black, and then we see two people hanging up by their legs, by their ankles, and it's actually Will and Hannibal, and they are greeted by Mason Verger. So they've obviously been captured and brought back to, I think it's called Muskrat Farm. I think that's where Verger lives, basically. It was really strange at first. I didn't know what was going on because they just cut straight to that, and I didn't know it was like a promo for the next episode. I also thought that Hannibal upside down, I couldn't figure out who he was for a few seconds. For a few seconds I almost thought it was Michael Pitt, which would have been weird because he left the show. But yeah, shortly after that the episode ends, so I'm not sure what's going to happen next episode. I'm kind of hoping the next episode starts off with what happened to them to get to the farm. So I want to, obviously, like the Masons paid off cops are going to break in and stop it, but we don't know what happened to Jack. We don't really know how they got there, how much time has passed. We can see Will's head is still bleeding, so it can't be that far after it. But yeah, I'm just hoping we get to see some kind of resolution. I think that'll be a pretty cool scene to show, to be honest. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped for the next episode. If you've seen the Hannibal movie, you'll know the whole Verger arc is probably going to come to a head. So I can't wait to see what happens there. If you've read some articles about Hannibal, you'll probably know that the Red Dragon arc is coming up in episode 8, which is the episode after the next one, which I can't fucking wait for, to be honest, because I really love Red Dragon. The character of Francis Dolarhyde is just really compelling, and I can't wait to see what I think's Richard Armitage, the guy who played Thorin Oakeshield. I can't wait to see him in the role. I actually watched the Comic-Con trailer and it looked awesome, to be honest. It spoiled quite a lot of things, so I wouldn't advise you go out and do it if you haven't already. Those are my thoughts on the episode. I really enjoyed it. These past 3 episodes have been amazing. I think this one was the best one yet, especially the scene with Will and Hannibal meeting up again for the first time. I really love that scene. So let me know what you guys thought about the episode down in the comment section. What do you think happened in between the meal with Hannibal, Will and Jack and getting to Muskrat Farm? You think they'll show it next episode? Are you excited for the Red Dragon arc? I know I am, so let me know what you're most excited for in the Red Dragon saga. Is there a certain scene that you can't wait to be played out? So yeah, those are my thoughts on the episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't seen any of my videos previously, go and check them out, and if you like them, subscribe and put those thumbs up for them, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.